Okay, let's get going. Hi everyone, my name's Phil Clapham. I am the Teams Room collaboration specialist here. A bit more about Teams Rooms later. Welcome everybody to the session. Before we begin, Data 3 acknowledges, respects and recognises our First Nations people and all traditional ancestral bloodline owners and their descendants throughout Australia. I acknowledge the Gadigal and Birrabagul people, the traditional custodians of the land on which I sit today, as well as the Yagara and Turrbal peoples of modern-day Brisbane, in which our head office sits. We pay our deepest respects to elders past, present, and those of the future, for they have held and still hold their spiritual, traditional belonging, lore, languages, ceremonies, memories, and hopes, while maintaining continuity with their country. And with that, I'll hand over to Mia.
Hi everyone, my name is Mia. I'd like to start off with just introducing our team. As you can see on the left here, we have our presenters, Sam, Brandon and myself are the Microsoft Device Specialists. We have Phil, which is the Teams Room Specialist, Mark Petty, Solution Sales Specialist. And on the right, we are very privileged to have the experts of their fields, Scott, Richard, Sam, Andrew and Scott Burridge. They are online. They're not just here to sit pretty, but they will be online to answer all your questions and make sure you send them through the chat and we can utilize them while they're here. All right, let's kick off today. So the agenda, we will go through modern work solutions, modern provisioning and management. Phil will go through some Teams Room solutions as well as security, which is a very important factor today. Sam will touch on our new products update, which everyone is excited about, as well as the user personas and how they kind of fit into your organization. And then last but not least is device as a service, and I will end with a summary. So I will hand it over to Mark now.
Just waiting for the slide to progress there. Hi, my name is Mark Petty. I'm the Solution Sales Specialist for Modern Work at Data 3. So I'm responsible for our go-to-market for M365 and also helping our customers get the most out of their investment in M365 Suite. Today I'll be briefly discussing some industry trends that we're seeing in modern work, some of Data 3's solutions in this space, as well as the road that we take our customers on from traditional on-prem server-based technology through to leveraging the full M365 productivity suite. So jumping right into some trends that we're seeing in the market. So there's obviously been an accelerated usage of M365. So during the pandemic, it was rolled out extensively, very quickly, which was great. It enabled us to collaborate from home. Now we're seeing a lot of our customers moving back into the office, but still having that hybrid work environment. So they're working from home, they're working from the office, they're working from a cafe, wherever it might be. And there's a real focus on how can they enable that technology now to really make use of the technology in that hybrid workspace. So just to highlight that accelerated usage, right now there's approximately 145 million daily active users of Teams. Last year, there was roughly 75 million, so a huge acceleration there. And at Data 3, we saw a big growth in M365 projects. So we saw an increase of roughly 160% from pre-pandemic to during the pandemic. So a lot of M365 projects to roll out that collaboration technology for our customers. And due to that accelerated usage, we're now seeing a lot of customers that really want to take control of that and understand what's happening within their M365 environment. And a lot of that is going back and remediating, so making sure that it's well governed and it's secured. Also, we're seeing customers that want to now implement chargeback or showback, especially in shared services environments. So they want to know, we're spending this much on M365, but how do we break that down and show that to the business where you're actually spending that money within each department or within each entity. Our customers also want to gain insights into M365. So like I was talking about before around, what's the security environment like? What's the license usage like in there? Really trying to gain visibility of that platform. And also lastly is driving adoption of that investment in M365. So your users might have licenses assigned, they might be using some of it, but how do you know what they're actually utilizing and could they be getting more productivity gains out of the suite? So moving on to some of Data3's solutions in the modern workspace. So at the platform level on the left there, we have cloud roadmaps that we've developed for our customers. So how do we take them from that on-prem through to the full M365 suite, or the portions of M365 that are important for their business? And additionally, we have an ongoing managed service, which we call M365 Optimizer, which I'll discuss briefly later. Moving to the right, so within the Microsoft Teams space, as I said, there's a lot of focus on securing and good governance. Most of us have experienced a huge growth in the number of teams that we're part of. If you don't get that under control and really govern that process, it can become a little bit difficult to navigate through Teams and get the most out of it. And also within Teams, there's a lot of hybrid work opportunities for us, and helping our customers leverage Teams in that hybrid work environment. So can they use Teams rooms and Teams calling and join those meetings like what we are right now, no matter where they are, quite simply. Moving on to Microsoft Endpoint Manager. So there's a combination of what was known as Configuration Manager and Intune. We're helping our customers migrate to the cloud and leverage Intune, Autopilot, Azure Active Directory, Microsoft Defender, really so that our customers can manage and deploy devices no matter where those devices are. And Brandon will go into that further in the next section. And also transitioning from a hybrid environment to cloud only. So some of our customers are already moving forward with that, but they want to do away completely with on-prem servers and management tools and move completely to the cloud. So that's where Endpoint Manager can help with that too. In the SharePoint Online and OneDrive space, there's been a lot of migrations of file shares, traditional file shares from on-prem, and assessing those and moving cleansed data into that target environment. So you really want to make sure you assess that data first before you then go and move it. You want to bring along your mess from on-prem and move it into M365. There's also configuring interface with SharePoint Online as well, as opposed to on-prem SharePoint environments. And then moving to the right, we have the Power Platform environment. So we have business consultants that will look at business processes, understand those, and then map them into, for example, how to automate. So how can we automate some of those repetitive business tasks? And lastly, but definitely not least, is adoption and change management. So adoption and change management is required across pretty much all of M365 projects that we roll out. As you know, M365 really does impact end users. Moving from on-Teams to Teams environment, that's a big change for end users. They need to be advised on how they adopt and leverage that. So just moving on to some common customer problems that we're seeing in the M365 environment, and these are more to do with that layer above M365. So not the underlying platform that Microsoft manages, but more on how can you manage that properly. So some key problems to solve are, can you identify your security risks that you have in the environment? So the platform itself is very secure, the data center is very secure, but configuration on top of that is completely up to you. So are there permissions that are assigned to users that shouldn't be in there, files being shared that should not be shared externally, and so on. And then there's also overspend. So are you spending money on licenses that you don't need to? Could they be allocated from disabled users or inactive users? Then there could be low adoption of some services. So you need to gain visibility into who's using what and why aren't they using those, and then you can drive adoption through communications and training. Also, like I was speaking about before, there's difficulty allocating costs back out to the business. So especially for those shared services, you need to clearly understand who's using what and when they're using it, so you can charge that back or at least show that back to the business. And lastly is governance. So implementing good governance to prevent sprawl of resources. That's Teams and across other M365 resources as well. So Data3 offers the M365 Optimizer managed service on an ongoing basis. That's to mitigate risk, minimize costs, and really drive up adoption. So within mitigating risk, we provide monthly reports that identify any security risks. And then minimizing costs, we show you all of the license usage. And for driving adoption, we show you what services are in use and what services aren't in use, more importantly, so that you can drive that adoption internally. And then on a quarterly basis, we'll meet with our customers. Our security, licensing, and modern work experts will give advice on how you can address those concerns that have been highlighted, and also how you can adopt further services from within M365, because it's always changing. So where to start? A lot of our customers were starting off with funded workshops from Microsoft. So these are the Cloud Accelerator workshops. They can be across one workload within M365, or it can be across the full suite. So those, as I said, those are funded by Microsoft. They're out of the possible style workshops. We have a workshop where we understand your environment, try to understand what your detailed requirements are and what your target state is, your desired target state, and then provide a recommendations report about that. Often we'll then follow that up with a pilot or proof of concept. And that would be within your environment, so you can have a subset of users leverage that technology, really understand how that's going to work within your day-to-day business, and take those lessons learned ready for the rollout into production. And during that pilot and proof of concept phase is where we often utilize deploy assist funding, and that can be leveraged when you procure Microsoft hardware, and Mia will go into that a little bit further later. So during rollout and enablement, there's often can be a lot of migration planning, making sure that whatever impact there may be to the users is well planned and that communicated well to them as well. And lastly is optimizing and adopting it further. And that goes back to what I was talking about before around securing it, optimizing the licenses, and also ensuring that you adopt new services as they become available. So now I'll hand over to Brandon, who's going to discuss modern provisioning and modern management.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Mark. So, hello for everyone. So my name is Brandon Sleedy. So I'm actually one of the 3 Microsoft device specialists here at Data3. And today I want to be going over a little bit around modern management and provisioning. And I'll also be touching on a little bit of an update around Microsoft Surface Management Portal and what this really means for you. All right, so the computing landscape in the recent years has become more and more mobile, and this is especially in what we just had with COVID, and this is becoming more and more the norm with remote work. So to address the challenges, Microsoft has actually brought a number of tools under one banner to provide device management options to the IT Pro. So now Microsoft Endpoint Manager refers to the suite of tools to manage devices in the modern world. So what essentially this includes is Configuration Manager, which is largely on-premise focused for on-premise Windows 10 or 11 devices, and server management. There's also Microsoft Intune, which is a cloud-focused tool, which actually brings MDM, cloud application security, and cloud-based device management. And there are also additional tools such as Endpoint Analytics, Desktop Analytics, and also Windows Autopilot. So let's actually go a little bit more into about Autopilot and how it works. So, for example, let's assume that you're actually buying brand new devices from Data3. So Data3 can actually pre-stage the device identifiers into the Microsoft Endpoint Manager on your behalf. So this means that the actual device is then directly shipped to the end user, or it can be sent to a central location, and the user will then only have to unbox the machine, power on the device, supply the credentials, and the device will actually begin the provisioning process with all their applications and configurations specific to the credentials. So now think of an instance about what happens if you aren't buying brand new devices and you already have an existing fleet. Well, this can actually be made quite easily. So your existing fleet can actually be ingested into Endpoint Manager, and this will actually allow your existing hybrid machines to be pre-provisioned. So what this means is that the next time the actual machine gets rebuilt, which can also be true remotely, it can actually go through the autopilot process at that time. So deploying devices in this way is actually very frictionless to the end user and very intuitive. There's no actual real need for the user to bring the device in for imaging or needing the logistics of having that device shipped. So this also enables that provisioned unit to be able to be rebuilt from any internet connection through that OS reprovisioning. So Autopilot can actually also be used as a self-service kiosk devices. So what this means is that if you have a kiosk device in a remote location, it can be fully built without even touching it. Now, it also even has device firmware configuration settings, and this can be configured as part of the deployment process, or they can be configured at a later stage. So just some random examples of what some of these processes are is that, for example, setting configuration on the boot options, or even preventing the user from getting into the UEFI settings to make changes themselves. Now, this capability is only available with devices that support DFCI, which is Device Firmware Configuration Interface. And at the moment, it's only the Microsoft Surface range that actually supports this. And finally, we actually have Windows Autopilot devices that they can be natively AD joined, or they can be actually hybrid joined to your Active Directory. And this is over a supported VPN connection. So what this does, it actually allows a machine that was built off-site to come essentially straight through the door, connect to an internal corporate network, and actually have all the resources like it was built as an on-premise device. So if you had a specific group policy setting or an on-premise application that can't actually authenticate with cloud-only device identities, this is also an option. So now a little more about what a complete modern endpoint architecture looks like. So combining both on-premise configuration manager with Microsoft Intune encode management, we can actually address essentially all aspects of the compute management. So starting from right to left, we'll begin with Microsoft Intune. So this is more for managing corporate devices and protecting corporate data accessed from either Windows, Android, or iOS devices through application protection policies and containerization. On-premise configuration manager, which is in the middle now. This is more for managing corporate-owned Windows devices and Windows servers with application deployment and full feature patching. And lastly, we have the Cloud Management Gateway, which is on the far left. Now, what this does is that it allows us to actually extend the configuration manager to the internet to support corporate Windows 10 or 11 devices that can't actually be connected directly to the LAN. So this is actually like a cloud. So the Cloud Management Gateway almost acts as a proxy for the configuration manager. So you'll be using, for example, management point or software update point, and this can actually be used also as a cloud-based distribution point. Now, access to the management gateway can be protected through either a certificate authentication or through an Azure Active Directory membership. Now, lastly, I just want to go into the new update around the Microsoft Service Management Portal, which is a centralized solution for IT admins to self-serve, manage and monitor all Microsoft Service devices at scale. So this becomes more of a centralized dashboard, included inside Microsoft Endpoint Manager for self-serve monitoring of device health, warranty status, technical bulletins, and even initializing support requests. So you'll also be able to view insights into the health of the Surface devices and actually receive notifications around any unusual device statuses. Also able to monitor the warranty of all Surface devices and manage those support requests that have been initiated with Microsoft. It also supports all Surface devices managed through either Intune and through hybrid managed devices. And also it makes updating really easy, as with regular updates to the Surface portal come through quite often. Now, just a little bit more on this is that there will be more information in the coming weeks around this feature right now. However, it is currently under NDA, but it will be available later on during the year. So now I'll kick it off to Phil to talk about Teams Meeting Room Solutions.
Thanks. My name's Phil Clapham. I am the Team Room Specialist. If you've got any questions around any of the Team Room stuff I'm about to present, then feel free to ask them in the Q&A box. And I might just ask you to transition through the slides. I seem to have something wrong with my Teams client and can't transition. Okay, so fortunately, lockdown is almost over in most jurisdictions around Australia. But what does that mean for work and when we go back to the office? There are certain expectations that have been set from us working from home, and for Data3 we're using Teams. A lot of customers are using Teams as well. A couple of those that are important. You know, the one click to join. We were all used to that in the Teams client. We rock up to our meetings at home, hit the join button, it takes us straight in there. We need that in the office as well. The sharing content. Again, we've been sharing content for the last couple of months. We need to be able to do that simply in the office as well. So when we think about the complexity of the solution and the expectations we have, just going back a second, Microsoft have a landscape by which they produce the software that sits in the Teams Room devices, but there are many other hardware manufacturers that build gear in this ecosystem, and you can pick and mix between them, and that can lead to complexity. If you're the IT manager, if you're the real estate and facilities person kitting out your room, you're thinking, wow, this is, you know, what do I need? And what we've done at Data3 is we've categorized rooms 6 main categories of room, from the small, medium, large, the ideation space, and the custom rooms. And the idea of managed rooms, or D rooms as we like to call it, is you tell us what category of rooms that you have, and then basically we can price it up very quickly, and the price would include in everything, including the delivery, the hardware, the installation, the management, and everything for 3 years. So it's a really simple out-of-the-box solution, and really meets those expectations that we have from working from home. Let's just go to the next slide now. Now we mix. It's not just Team Room system on Windows, it's also Teams Room system on Android. We like the Android devices because the collaboration bars are really simple to install and they're really easy to use. So we have the 2 different types of hardware in our catalog that customers can leverage as well. And it really likes to it helps us to open up a conversation with things like calling, security, and so maybe even some of the workshops that Mark has mentioned previously. Next slide, mate. Now, while customers like the idea of OpEx, sometimes they can only do CapEx expenditure. They only want the hardware only. That's fine. But there's a whole bunch of stuff you might be missing out on if you do it that way. Just so we understand the methodology, when the customer orders hardware from Data3, if it's in the OpEx service, part of managed service, we take it to our integrated service center. We open all the boxes up, dispose of all the rubbish. We check the units for RMA. We check the power cables. We install the agents. We do all that stuff. We even, to the extent, if a customer provides us with the actual room occurrence, we'll put them on the devices and test them to make sure that it's all working. So by the time it gets to the site, it literally is just screw it down and you're off the races. So there's a bunch of stuff that we have in the managed service that you might not get if you just take hardware only. Next slide, Mia. Now, we've got a couple of different offers out in market at the moment. There's a buy one, get one free, which is you buy one hub, get one free, buy one MTR, get another MTR free. It is, we have to follow through a qualification process. If this does appeal to you, if you're on the road, the bidding part of the road to start looking at some hardware for your organization, then feel free to come and talk to us about this. We go through the qualification process and see if you're eligible. As Mark mentioned, we do have a hybrid meeting workshops, which is paid by Microsoft, for us to come and provide a couple of days of Art of the Possible. So first day we do Art of the Possible, and the second day we build the plan. And that's a really, really, really good exercise because it really helps us map out what you're going to need and how you're going to implement it, and it's all free to use, a customer. And then we've got our proof of concept and pilot program devices as well. We've got a range of different manufacturers that we can put in for pilot, and you can see what works in your rooms. Next slide, Neil. So I'm just going to quickly switch and jump into security. Next slide. Now, over the course of the last, I'd say, few years, we've seen a shift to remote work. That's something that's maybe been more recent. And we're really looking to enable teams to work remotely and securely and enjoy the confidence that your data as a customer and devices, your user identities are protected, with primarily with the most secure PCs, but also with the most secure cloud service. And each week, certainly on the right-hand side, you can see all the stuff that's made mainline news. But each week there's more and more stories of security breaches and attacks. And even during COVID, I see a lot of the SMSs on the phone, a lot of phishing emails coming to me. I've got a delivery of something that I didn't order. Okay, right. But some people, you need that extra protection. So we really think about the defense in depth from the sort of chip to cloud, as we see with Surface devices. And hardware and software working together to create a more strong security posture. So that's a proactive way that we can move forward. Next slide now. So just quickly touching on the multi-layered defense in depth story as it pertains to Surface. You've got many layers that are all controlled by Microsoft. From the unified extensible firmware interface at the very bottom, which is basically a chip that sits on the motherboard that acts like a mini OS. And the mini OS sort of starts the system and checks everything starting in sequence, and then it hands over to the big OS. And that's all Microsoft produced. Well, why is that important? But because Other vendors or other manufacturers of laptops will outsource that UFI capability to a third party. And then that brings in supply chain risk. How do you know this UFI works well? You need to go through a bunch of testing, and what if there's a flaw in it? How will it get patched if it's hardware? So with Surface devices, this is all included. The supply chain risk is not there. And it goes all the way through the layers to the Surface Enterprise Management module that Brandon mentioned earlier. That's the ability to literally turn off bits of functionality in your system. Your camera, for example, the laptop camera, you can literally cut the power to that camera to ensure that it's turned off. In the old days, you had to take the back off the device and physically cut the cables, which would void the warranty. Not required anymore. All the way up the layer to Windows 11 security, BitLocker, TPM on the actual bus, to Windows Hello, which is a password supplemental authentication method using biometric data, all the way up to Defender at the top of the chain and within the cloud, which is an agentless capability to see where you're navigating through the internet and see the pit. It's a bit like Google Maps in that respect. See the pitfalls and protect you before you fall into that particular pitfall. And that's a Defender for Endpoint, which is a really, really good tool. Next slide, Mia. So if you're interested in the security story that Data3 have, first of all, test drive some of the chip to cloud story and Surface. Sam's about to come up and talk about devices. She's a device specialist, so absolutely we've got devices we can lend out. We've got a series of workshops we can do around threat protection and an Azure Sentinel workshop. But the Essential 8 is kind of an interesting one. That's the 5-day engagement that we have built together based on a framework developed by the Australian Signals Directorate, which is part of the Ministry of Defence. And what it is, it's a bit of an audit and engagement where we help you understand your current security maturity and defense posture. And then the technical workshops follow a whole bunch of stuff, including, focusing on application whitelisting, application patching, patching operating systems, multi-factor, like a whole bunch of stuff to help you determine where you need to be for the future, and again, how we're going to help you get there. And with that, again, any questions, stick them in the chat window. Sam's going to talk about devices, so I'll hand over to Sam. Some pretty interesting new stuff that's coming up around the Surface launch. Thanks for that. Over to you, Sam.
Thank you, Phil. Hi, everybody. My name is Samantha, and I'm a device specialist here at Data3. So by now, you may have seen some of the new product information from the Microsoft product launch 3 to 4 weeks ago. We're very excited about this new range, so let's jump in and take a look. All right, first up, we have the Go 3. This is the smallest, most portable PC that is also a tablet. This device will replace the Go 2. Designed for workforces on the go, this 2-in-1 starts at just 544 grams and has a 10.5-inch multi-touch touchscreen. The Go 3 comes with the new dual-core Intel Pentium Gold and 10th Gen Core i3 processors. Stock is due at the end of October for the Wi-Fi variants and January 2022 for the LTE variants. Next, we have the Surface Pro X. Thinner and lighter than other 2-in-1s, even paired with the Surface Pro signature keyboard to store and charge your slim pen. Built for mobility with optional gigabyte speed LTE, tablet to laptop flexibility, and a 13-inch edge-to-edge touchscreen, the Pro X starts at just 774 grams. Security is engineered at the core. Pro X has a certified secured core, providing users with powerhouse protection right out of the box. Moving on, we have the most powerful Pro ever, the Surface Pro 8, starting at just 891 grams with Intel Evo quad-core processors to handle intensive workloads. Pro 8 combines the power of a laptop with the flexibility of a tablet using its iconic kickstand. This 2-in-1 device offers a range of new features, as you can see on the slide here. The main ones I want to highlight for you today are the new 13-inch screen size and the i7 LTE option. Previously, we were limited to i5 in the LTE variant, so this is really exciting news. Pro 8 has a 5-megapixel front-facing camera that is 1080p Full HD video capable. Combined with dual studio microphones and Dolby Atmos speakers, you can best enhance the hybrid meeting experience of today's work environment. The Pro 8 is also moving to the Pro X type cover with built-in storage and charging for the Slim Pen 2. The current Pro 7 Plus type covers will remain available to work with the rest of the Pro range, but they are not compatible with the Pro 8. The Pro 8 will be replacing the Pro 7 Plus range. Surface Laptop Studio is the new face of hybrid work. Take a look at this boundary-pushing design that lets you transition seamlessly from a high-performance laptop to an angled stage for meetings and then to a portable creative canvas. Work the way you want wherever you are. The Laptop Studio range will replace the Book 3, which is now end of life. We are expecting the Book 3 stock to run out by the end of this year in preparation for the arrival of Laptop Studio stock in January. The Laptop Studio will also ship with Win 10 or Win 11 right out of the box, just like the other models I've shown you so far today. It has two USB 4.0 Thunderbolt 4 ports, as well as the Surface Connect port for super fast charging. The 14.4-inch screen offers a 120 Hz refresh rate, giving users quicker touch response and smoother scrolling. Lastly, the Laptop Studio also has new Slim Pen storage and charging built in. And finally, new to the Australian market is the Duo 2 5G capable mobile device. It is the thinnest 5G phone on the market. The Duo 2 with its dual screen capability will give you the potential to have your Teams meeting on one screen and be running an Office app on the other. The power of the hybrid meeting is now truly in the palm of your hands. Coming in at a mere 282 grams, Surface Duo 2 combines the desktop experience of high-speed browsing, inking, typing, email, video, and collaboration, all with the best of a smartphone. Microsoft have a range of accessories that are optimized for Teams, and each of these devices was developed in partnership with Teams software engineers to make the Teams calling experience seamless and integrated. So now that we've had a look at all of these new devices, let's take a look at some real-world use cases for them. So here we're looking at positions such as inspectors, field officers, remote workers, and facilities teams members. These roles require lightweight portable devices that are LTE capable. They need premium quality camera for video and image capture, along with a superior sound experience. The Pro 8 and the Duo 2 are a perfect fit here, and they are complemented by the Surface and designed for Surface accessory ranges. For example, the Surface Travel Hub for additional port expansion, Surface earbuds, pans of privacy screens, and even STM rugged cases. The users would also benefit from device adoption training to learn more about focus assist and battery optimization settings, and M365 capability training. Supporting your users becomes even easier with a Microsoft warranty plan. These plans are device-centric and not user-centric. This means that the warranty program is around fast device replacement to keep your users up and running with minimal downtime. This is most successful when combined with a hotspot program where a small pool of devices are kept locally, say by IT. And when a user has a faulty device, IT can then hand them a hot spare, leveraging Intune. The user pulls down their profile in a matter of minutes. Thus, any lost productivity time is greatly minimized. In the background, IT would just log a fault ticket on Microsoft for the replacement device. So here we're looking at positions such as administrators, clerks, and even business services. These roles require a lightweight laptop device that provides flexibility to move when needed through meeting rooms and a maximum screen real estate with the 3.2 aspect ratio that was designed for productivity. In this case, the Laptop Go is a great fit. It maintains two-factor authentication via Windows Hello with fingerprint reader. Its compact size prioritizes portability while maintaining the best typing and trackpad experience. It's focused for productivity with longer battery life. Again, the Surface Laptop Go is complemented by the Surface and designed for Surface accessory ranges. For example, the Surface Bluetooth mouse and number pad, Surface Teams headset, pans of privacy screens, and Kensington ergonomic desktop solutions. Similarly, these users would also benefit from device adoption training and M365 capability training. And as I mentioned before, bundling your Surface device with the Surface warranty plans, you're minimizing user downtime and maximizing productivity gains. For added security, we also have the drive retention add-on for selected devices to keep your SSDs on site and avoid further risk exposure. There's a wide range of third-party accessories specifically made for Surface, developed and tested to ensure proper fit, function, and quality standards for the Microsoft Surface family. On the screen here, we have some of the case and attachment solutions from Joy Factory. We have a Panzer antimicrobial spray and privacy screens. STM have a range of rugged cases and carry bag solutions. And Kensington have security and ergonomic desktop solutions. Please reach out to us if you would like to talk about an evaluation Surface device or designed for Surface accessory. We have an evaluation program with discounted Surface devices. Please reach out to your Data3 account manager if you would like to know more. And lastly, we have you covered with pre-adoption support under our Deploy Assist program. Mia will elaborate further on this program shortly for you. Thank you, everybody, and I'll now hand you over to Mia.
Thank you, Sam, for that. So moving on to DaaS as a service solution. Now, this is a concept that has been around for several years. However, like all transformative IT solution, it takes time for the market to embrace the new ways of working. Recently, we have seen an increased interest in this DaaS procurement model. And without many years of experience in this area, I want to go through what Data3 and Microsoft has to offer in terms of a tailored solution to achieve the best outcome for your organization. First, let's look at some of the challenges you may be facing today. For example, you're needing to hire more technical skill set required to monitor, manage, and modify your IT environment. Now, this might blow through your budgets, and at the same time, with hybrid working environments, you can no longer manage with the classic model of handling in-house. In addition, you may have concerns with uncertainty of ever-changing economy. The pandemic has definitely changed a lot of the aspects in the way we work today. It may be beneficial to shift from a CapEx model to an operational model so that you can free up the cash flow to put towards other projects. And then last but not least is the security risk you may be facing with existing and retired technology. How to adequately manage those devices when unexpected accidents happen, or how to properly decommission old devices so they don't just live in the IT department, the IT cupboards or underneath the bed. So the device as a service solution allows you to take workload off your IT department from doing, for example, asset tagging and testing, decommissioning process and services, physical managed delivery. DaaS also gives you the opportunity to access the latest and greatest technology that will not only improve productivity, but at the same time, it will save time and resources from issues caused by aging technology. For instance, you don't want to give a new starter a 5-year-old laptop that takes 10 minutes just to start up the device. Now, when it comes to decommissioning old devices, the data is securely wiped before disposal, and in essence, allow you to instead focus on IT resources on core business growth. And we can also scale this up and down as needed. This is our Data3 bulletproof framework that details all the areas that we have covered from beginning to the end. As you can see, we have thought of everything, and this comes from experience. And great thing about this is you can pick and choose what you need, so it's entirely a customizable solution. Data3 has helped multiple organizations move towards a more modern way of management, and the benefits have been consistent across the board. So in summary, why Data3, you might be wondering? If not, that's okay, I'm going to tell you anyways. Data3 and Microsoft act as one with a long-standing trusted partnership since 2001. We are so privileged to have numerous experts in their fields covering Azure, threat protection, Windows Virtual Desktop, and we are Microsoft's largest Australian partner across 3 clouds. Not to brag, but we are also #1 in Surface Hubs. We understand that changing or transitioning can be very daunting, and to further help support you on your modern deployment and modern management journey, Data3 offers Deploy Assist programs. Now, these are funded programs that work to maximize your benefit when investing in Surface devices and modernizing your environment. We have 5 key areas that we focus on. First being the M365 accelerated deployment, where Data3 will work with your IT department to test the environment before deployment. This can also cover some hands-on help during the deployment system, and so you can hit the ground running. The next area is one of the more popular options, which is the Surface training and adoption. This is where we can either of virtual training to your end users. We have found that productivity has improved from better understanding your technology. The third one is modern meetings, and this is a proof of concept situated around Teams and unlocking the power of Teams. We have seen this becoming more and more popular as well since the pandemic, with simplifying video conferencing and collaboration programs into a standardized solution. The next one is the Teams meeting room device. This is also another proof of concept or pilot option for any change and adoption management for all team room devices. So this is in addition to Surface Hubs. Finally is the managed security service, where our security experts will work with your IT department to assess and plan the best security system for your organization. So in summary, Data3 and Microsoft act as one, and we have a very long-standing trusted partnership. We have many years of experience in delivering our end user compute projects to our clients for all sizes and industry sectors. The Surface product family is a range of premium devices, and it's designed for users to securely and effectively get the most out of technology. We can help you on your modern provisioning and modern management journey with our deploy assist programs, and we strongly recommend using them. Last but not least is we do offer a one-on-one deep dive session, so please arrange a time to reach out to your Data3 reps, and we can organize a more detailed one to getting a best tailored solution for your organization. And thank you so much. That is all. Thank you so much for your time today. That is all we have. Please remember to reach out to your Data3 reps to look into a deep dive session. Thank you.